Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Professional Weapons in Advanced Warfare. This episode number 20, I think, and this episode we're reviewing the Ohm light machine gun professional variants, the three professional variants being the Bloodletter, Heart Seeker, and Watcher. And the Watcher looks like the marksman variant, looks closest to the marksman variant, which is called the Revamp, which we are also reviewing in this episode because it's like a professional variant. And we're starting with the Revamp right now. The Revamp has +2 range, which at first looks awesome. You're like, hey, more range. But that's not useful, and here's why. The Ohm's damage profile is 35, 35, 33, which is, standard light machine gun damage profiles. But the thing about the Ohm is that its close range damage, 35, its drop-off point is 13 meters, and it's because its medium range damage is the same, you're not even going to notice that. You only notice it with the Restless where it drops off because it has a decrease in damage and it can get 4-shot kills. Whereas a normal Ohm, you will never even be far away to even need 4 shots to kill because the medium range damage is extremely goes out to an extremely far range, which means that there probably won't even be a single range that you're even going to need 4 shots to kill. Because what 99% of people get is 3-shot kills on the Ohm, so just extending the range doesn't really feel very useful. I guess it's basically guaranteed that you'll never get a 4-shot kill, but it's kind of like that for the base variant anyway. So it doesn't really see how that's useful. It's not. I'm sorry to say, it's just not useful to have the more range, because I will say that advanced rifling is a useless attachment on the base Ohm. It's like getting a free advanced rifling on the Ohm Revamp, but it's like just not very useful. And put advanced rifling on the Ohm Revamp is extremely useless because you go up to +4 range, and that basically guarantees that it gets a 3-shot kill. But like I said, you won't even be far enough away to be in the 4-shot kill range. So I guess where you would normally get a 4-shot kill, it's 3-shot kills even more. But this is like entire maps at this point. This is like the size of most maps at this point, this range. So overall, this range buff isn't useful. I'm sorry to break the news to all you, but the +2 range, which is basically +30% range on your medium range damage because the close range damage is the same. I'm sorry to say that it isn't very useful, and the downside is pretty major, unfortunately, especially on a light machine gun. You have 10 less rounds in the magazine, so it goes down from 40 rounds to 30 rounds. It's the same kind of penalty we have on the Restless, although I do think the Restless is slightly better just because it has an awesome bonus, whereas this one doesn't really. And yeah, this one is -2 magazine size, and just to prove that it didn't shoot down to 30 bullets, here's me reloading. And you guys can see that the normal Ohm does have 40 rounds when I reload. So overall, the +2 range, -2 magazine size, not really useful, and I wouldn't really recommend it unless you just want to guarantee that you're never going to get a 4-shot kill. Yeah, use this variant. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that it's the best or useful variant. Next variant we're taking a look at is the Watcher, the Ohm Watcher. And the first thing you need to know about the Ohm Watcher is it has a very low rate of fire compared to the base Ohm. The base Ohm is 600 rounds per minute, and this is 600 RPM. And this is this one gets moved down to 500 RPM, and here it is right now. It's the same speed as the AE4, and I will guarantee that you will notice it. And just to do it at the same time, just for fun, here we go. The rate of fires are minor differences, but it is noticeable. And it can be frustrating for those of you that like high fire rate guns. This takes away the high fire rate of especially for the Ohm, and makes it very low rate of fire. But the low rate of fire does tie in with the good thing this variant has, and that is 20% less recoil, and that's made even better with the low rate of fire. So just briefly, oh, one more thing. The shotgun mode on variants are not affected whatsoever. This is how fast the normal shotgun mode is. It's 480 RPM. And this is the Watcher. And you know that the shotgun mode isn't affected by this rate of fire nerf. So anyways, back to the recoil, has 20% less recoil. The Ulm is kind of an accurate LMG, but this is how much it will kick. It does have some kick though, and this is how much the normal Ulm kicks around quite a bit. Not exactly a deal breaker, but kind of frustrating for those of you that hate high kicking guns. However, the Ulm Watcher is basically a laser, hence the Ulm, because it's a laser gun and it's energy. We'll just say it's an energy directed. And you got a much smaller dot, and with the low rate of fire it makes it way more accurate, and this is the most accurate variant of the Ulm, and I want to say that it's more accurate than the Restless, which has 25% less. It says it has +3 accuracy, but they say it's 25% less. I'm not sure how that works, but that's that anyways. And yeah, that's what the good thing about the Watcher. So the Watcher is probably the most accurate Ulm variant that I can think of. The next variant we gotta look at is the Ulm Bloodletter, and the Bloodletter may not seem like a... Well, no, let's just talk about it. The Bloodletter... hold on, I just gotta get up to a good wall to test this out. The Bloodletter has a 20% wider hip, or 20% tighter hip fire spread, and you're probably gonna be like, okay, so what? We don't hip fire with light machine guns anyway. It's not going to beat the Pytek Loophole or Melee Whale Hornet hip firing because it's not a good hip fire weapon. However, you do have to remember that there is a shotgun mode on this weapon, which means that this is the best variant for shotgun mode. And here's the hip. The hip fire does get wider when you enter shotgun mode. I'm just going to briefly compare the hip fires when in shotgun mode. And you'll see that the shotgun mode, it's not very noticeable, but it is tighter for the slightly tighter for the Bloodletter, which is awesome actually. So it doesn't look like it. It may just be tighter for the regular LMG mode, but overall it's kind of nice. It makes it one of the better LMGs to hip fire with, but it's not really useful. And it does have two major downsides. One of the downsides is a 10% slower aim down sight time, and on a light machine gun, this is kind of brutal because it already aimed down sights super slow at 450 milliseconds, and this one's even slower at 475 milliseconds, and you will notice it. It's not super noticeable, but you see that the Ulm at the bottom beats the Ulm Bloodletter at the aim down sights time. So yeah, that's that. The slower aim down sights time can be counteracted with quick draw. And another bad thing, which is probably the biggest and baddest of all, is as -1 reserve magazine. So you have a whole magazine gone, and this is without scavenger. I don't have scavenger on any of these variants, and it goes from 120 in reserve to 180, or just 280 in reserve, not 180. And that's 120 bullets in total, and the normal Ulm is 60 bullets in total. So this is a pretty big nerf, especially on a light machine gun where you spray a lot, and because it has a huge magazine, and not so much the Ulm doesn't really have a huge magazine compared to other LMGs, but it's kind of frustrating in that aspect. And we got one more variant to look at, and it is the Heart Seeker, which I consider a pretty good variant too. Alright, so the Heart Seeker is... trying to find a good spot for recoil testing, right here. And the Heart Seeker, first thing you're going to note about the Heart Seeker is that it has a built-in laser sight, which that's pretty awesome because it makes it better for the hip fire of the shotgun mode. And yeah, and you see that it's definitely tighter for the Heart Seeker. So it's basically like a 15% tighter hip fire spread to 12. I'm not sure which number it is, but there you go. And unfortunately, this one does have a rate of fire nerf at from 600 RPM to 545. This is how fast the normal ohm shoots at 600. And this is the Heart Seeker. It's really minor, but it is 545, and it is again lower than an average ohm variant, and that can be annoying for those of you who like high fire rate guns. And you see the ohm back there beat it. I wasted one bullet, but even if with an extra bullet, I would still beat it. So that's that for the rate of fire nerf. And now it does just like the ohm watcher is more accurate just because it has a rate of fire slowdown, but this one still has 20% less recoil on the Heart Seeker, which is awesome. The Heart Seeker actually has stats of an elite weapon, because usually when elites have built-in attachments, they usually have 2 upsides for 2 downsides. So the Ohm Heart Seeker really should be an elite weapon because it has a built-in attachment as well as 2 downsides and 2 upsides. And you definitely notice that this gun is way more accurate, basically laser-like. That watcher is better because of the slower fire rate, but just know that this thing is an accuracy god. And it also has a -1 range, which is 15% less 3-shot kill range. Because the 3-shot kill range is so far away, like I said, I would tell you not to worry about this at all, because it's not gonna make a big deal at all. And the ratings on these professional variants are definitely the Heart Seeker at number 1, the Bloodletter at number 2, because that's a good variant for shotgun, the Watcher at number 3, and then the Revamp at number 4. The Revamp's not a bad gun, it's just simply useless, that's all. And extended max goes up to 45, just thought I'd tell you guys that now. And there you guys will see that it does have a built-in laser sight, and with this built-in laser sight means that you cannot put on a parabolic microphone or a tracker sight, unfortunately. So those 2 attachments are taken away because of the laser sight, but overall I think I'd prefer the laser sight over never mind. Next up, PDW. Stay tuned.